Hello, and welcome to the Cultivating Confidence podcast. I am your host, Dr. Nicole Grams. I am a life coach who specializes in anxiety, health, and human design. And I also happen to be a functional medicine pharmacist. This podcast is a compilation of conversations that I've had with clients and colleagues. So listen in as we explore the mind, body, and soul's confidence in its many forms. Welcome, everyone, to tonight's topic of imposter syndrome. Now, I define imposter syndrome as a lot of different things. I have felt it in a lot of different ways, but generally speaking, I define it as a feeling that you get when you're scared someone is going to expose you as a fraud, even though you deserve and are worthy of being in the situation or place that you are, right? There's probably more eloquent definitions that I could have found, but I think that's what came to mind for me. And I just went with it, to be honest. And just notice about that. It's a feeling and not a fact of the situation. So imposter syndrome typically happen. Ginger, be quiet. Anyway, imposter syndrome typically happens when you're going through personal growth of some kind. So whether that's a new job promotion, even if you really wanted the position and know that you're qualified, any new responsibilities that you're gaining, like managing people, you can feel it when you're asked to speak or teach people about a topic that you haven't necessarily taught about before, or maybe you're not used to teaching people, even though you have all of this knowledge and all of this experience and all of this, everything is lined up and on paper, it looks good, but it's a feeling that you can get throughout that process. And it happens when you're doing just well, or you're just like doing well and you feel unworthy in some way. Right? So you're dismissing your talent, you're dismissing your hard work, you are chalking it up to just having good luck, right? Maybe it's you or me passing a test when you didn't think you studied hard enough. I think I have experienced all of those in one way, shape, or form. So hopefully you can relate to that. And I would love to hear more about examples that you have for yourself. But there are different types of ways that imposter syndrome can manifest. And the one that I typically get is the who do you think you are sort of feeling, the thought that I have of like, who am I to be teaching people about this, right? There are also perfectionist tendencies that come through. So I need to be perfect and never let anybody see that I made any minor mistakes in the process, or I'm feeling like the biggest failure on the planet in the process, right? It shows up in the know-it-all, where I must know all the things about the topic. And I feel like a fraud if someone asks me a question that I don't have the complete and well boxed up, eloquent answers to everything, right? It shows up in I don't want to have to work hard on this skill, so I'm going to give up and act like it was never a thing that I wanted to do in the first place, right? If we're not good at something right away, if it's not like a natural talent that we have. It shows up in a way where you can do it all by yourself and you never ask for help, even when you're drowning, because that would be a sign of weakness, right? There's also I have to do it all, where I keep taking on extra responsibilities so I don't let anyone down. And in all of these examples, it goes back to filling a feeling or emotional space that you feel like you're missing. You have to prove yourself in some way. And how does this happen to us or for us, with us? However, right? If you've been in an environment where achievement is the most important thing, but mistakes are not tolerated, imposter syndrome can happen a lot. So whether that is home life where you're growing up, parents, caregivers, whether that's teachers or coaches in school or sports, whether that's your boss or coworkers in a work environment, right? It can happen with discrimination. It can happen from trauma or abuse. But just a reminder that imposter syndrome is a feeling. It is not a fact of the world. There is something in your mind that has made you believe something about yourself. And it often taps on self worth and self doubt. So, some of the thoughts you might experience or you might have when you're feeling this way are things like, I don't deserve the success. I just got lucky. I'm not as talented as other people. What am I doing here? I feel like I'm pretending to know more than I do. And that I think is really common, or at least I experienced it when I started giving consultations to patients. Like as a pharmacist or as a pharmacy student at the time, I had been through enough school to be qualified to give consultations on some medications. I was doing that. I completely felt like I was pretending to know more than I did. And that wasn't necessarily the case. I just wasn't used to withdrawing that information yet. Right. Um, the I need another thought might be I need to work harder in order to prove myself. So we end up overworking ourselves, right? Fears we may have. I'm afraid to ask questions because then people will know that I don't know things, right? So we have to be quiet about, asking experts even. I'm afraid of being judged. I'm afraid I don't belong and I'm afraid someone will find out. So it's this secretive sort of feeling where I need to hide myself. I need to protect myself from somebody else outing me as this fraud that I see for myself. Right. So I already mentioned some of the things that we do. We overwork ourselves. We procrastinate, which is funny because when we're afraid of not meeting expectations, we wait until the last minute to throw something together and blame it on that so that we don't disappoint ourselves by giving it our all and coming up short. If we come up short and we threw it together last minute, then that's the reason. It's not any sort of deficiency of ourselves. It's just, oh, well, I had to throw it together last minute, right? Whereas it feels a little bit different if you've put all this work in and you're still disappointed in the end, right? We also minimize our accomplishments when we're feeling like we are imposters. We're downplaying the effort or skills that it took to get us in the position that we are. So, what do we do about it? The first thing I want you to do if you start feeling like you're experiencing imposter syndrome is let yourself indulge in that shitty feeling for a moment. Just let it be there, accept it. I truly believe we're here to feel all the things, and feeling all the things mean we feel the positive things and the negative things throughout our lives, sometimes in the same day, sometimes in the same hour or minute, or we can feel them all at the same time. I was asked earlier today what I was feeling about something as I was working through my own stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm not sure. There's a lot of things going on. I've got confidence going on. I've got panic going on. I've got, a lot of disappointment, a little bit of tinge of regret going on. So you're allowed to feel very complex things all at the same time. And imposter syndrome is one of those things that you're allowed to feel, right? The more you pretend that it's not happening in your body, the louder it will get. And sometimes if you're anything like me, acknowledging that that's what's going on will allow you to let it go without any further work. Sometimes, right? Sometimes you just need to give it a hug and say, listen, I hear you. That was really sweet of you to be trying to protect me in this way. I got this. You can tell it to sit in a corner if you're not ready to throw it out the door. But you have the power to turn the volume down in the way that, like, I hear you, brain. Now sit down so I can do this. After you've let yourself feel a little bit shitty for a while, look at all the reasons that you want to do the thing, whatever it is. So, what if, let's say, it's a promotion at work and you're becoming a manager? Think about the reasons that you want to do it for yourself. Maybe you want to have the experience. Maybe it's a stepping stone for you. Maybe you want to learn how to manage people, right? Think about the reasons that you want it for yourself. But then if you're not used to doing that sort of thing or doing things for yourself, that can feel a little bit selfish, focusing on those reasons. So, what can make it so much easier is to think about the reasons you want this for other people. So, if you're managing new people, why do you want to be the one that they turn to? And what will other people in that position not do for them? How are you going to show up that will benefit them the most, right? If you're giving a talk, why do people need to hear your perspective on the topic? And how will they benefit from your point of view or your experience on the topic, right? If it's skills or talent or something you've created, like a piece of artwork, what will others feel or experience with your work that they won't with anybody else, right? Next piece of advice is to seek advice from someone who has been there. And this is not a requirement, but it can be very helpful. It might not be somebody who has been through the same situation. It might not even be somebody that you know, but I guarantee someone on the internet can relate to your situation if you find the right place and you're comfortable sharing what you're going through. Like I said, it's not completely necessary, but can be a useful tool to reach out and find somebody who can relate and can help boost you through it, right? Then I want you to dig into your beliefs. One of the things that was most helpful for me to think about is, will I be able to survive this? Whatever it is that I'm feeling like I'm not worthy of being here. Worst case, I feel a little bit embarrassed or humbled in some way. And I guarantee you've survived worse than this. So the thought of I will be able to handle it no matter what can be clutch, because no matter what, I will be able to figure it out. It doesn't mean you have all the answers, but it means that you trust yourself enough to be able to figure it out. So if you're standing on a stage or in front of a group of people and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how are these people trusting me? Like, listen, I'm going to be able to handle the questions they have. I'm going to be able to handle the judgment that they might have of me because I believe in myself, right? And hopefully you can work on that belief too. Because like the belief in yourself is sort of a next level belief. The I am capable of doing this, whatever it is. I belong here. I am worthy of being here. Those are beliefs that are going to help carry you through so many things. And the I will be able to handle it no matter what is one of those that is kind of a universal truth. If you believe it, you'll be able to do so many more things. Uh, Getting back to specifically imposter syndrome, we have a tendency to not give ourselves credit for any of the work that we've done, or at least most of the people that I talk to, this is the case. So give yourself credit for what it took you to get to the point where you have this opportunity. So, what did you do in your life to create this opportunity? Did you go to school for it? Did you think it was super cool that people did it and you just wanted to do it too? Right? Did you need to learn something? Did you need to network yourself in a specific way? Did you need to show up in a vulnerable way on social media? Did you need to put together a course or, whatever it was? What did you do to create this opportunity for yourself in the first place? I want you to write down as many things as you can think of because and it's a useful tip to start writing things down as you go along because brain likes to forget all of the good things that you did. And I want you to think of it like writing a resume. And instead of waiting until the end when you need the resume for something for a new position, it's like looking back when you can't remember all of the amazing ways that you contributed to this job that you have currently, right? So keep track of all the things that you're doing that are maybe not even working out, but you figured out how to do it. We tend to forget all of those things when we get to the place where we think people are judging us or we think we're not worthy. And I want you to celebrate your successes no matter how small they are. And I, for one, am completely terrible at this. Whenever I enter a coaching session thinking that, oh, everything's going pretty well for me right now, and my coach tells me to celebrate myself and tell them all the amazing things that I've been doing or I have done, I almost immediately start crying because I'm like, oh, but like, this is so meaningful for me to actually be here with myself and to appreciate myself. And that's crazy how far I've come because I never used to even be able to say out loud what I was proud of myself for. So allow yourself to celebrate and think about loving yourself first. Self-compassion and self-care are important things along the way. And I want you to treat yourself like a friend in the process. So all of that stuff that I talked about celebrating, think about your friends and think about how incredible you think they are and how you're completely floored every time you don't see that. I have one specific friend that always comes to mind with this, and I think she is the best person on the planet. And I hope she's listening today. But I think she's so incredible. And the self-esteem that I see in her is not quite there. Well, it's gotten much better in the last few years because I've beaten her into submission about it. But think about when you see your incredible friends and they're just feeling low about themselves and they don't see what you see in them. I'm going to play that Uno reverse card and turn it right back on yourself. We are all floored that you don't see it in yourself because we can list 10 different ways that you deserve to be here. So why can't you do that for yourself, right? A lot of us have been beating ourselves up for decades. So feeling confident in the meantime, until you're used to it, feeling confident will feel like arrogance for a little bit. So the way to check whether it's, arrogance or confidence is, are you doing it to feel superior to somebody else? Are you trying to put somebody down by saying this about yourself? Or are you just being self-aware and you're trusting yourself and you're feeling capable, right? So that's kind of the difference there. Do you think you're trying to bring somebody else down? Because it's a very natural thing for our brains to try to do is, I'm feeling so bad about myself, then I start to judge people around me and try to pull them down and toot my own horn to try to, come out better than them, right? That's all brain drama that we don't necessarily need. But if you are just trying to be self-aware, you're trying to trust yourself, you're trying to feel capable, the confidence that will seep out of your pores will be apparent, and you'll be able to enter a room walking a little bit differently, right? There's sort of a fake it till you make it scenario as well. And you may still need a touch of this, especially at the beginning. But I like to phrase it as an affirmation instead of an affirmation. So if I did feel like I belonged, what would I do? If I did have the confidence, how would I respond when I don't know something? Look at other people who you admire, who do the same thing, or who have maybe done the same thing or similar things, or just people you admire in general. How do they act and speak and carry themselves? And I want you to see how you can do those things for yourself. Practice feeling the way you think they feel as you go. Or when you get there, it will feel completely unfamiliar and terrifying when you get there. So, imposter syndrome city, right? What does it feel like to overcome imposter syndrome? Freaking awesome. Like I said, you start to carry yourself differently. You have more poise, you have more confidence. You start to build trust with people a little bit more, even if you're still feeling the doubt within yourself just a little bit, but you've turned the volume down, you've acknowledged it, you're allowing it to be there. We're not trying to shove it out the door because, like I said, it'll just start pounding, it will just get louder. But you feel yourself feeling more brave and stepping out of your comfort zone more and more often and feeling more authentic as you do it. So, as we go about our daily lives, I want everybody to remember first step is always allow yourself to feel however you feel in that moment. Acknowledge it as much as it sucks to feel imposter syndrome. It's a thing that's probably going to happen if you're living your life in such a way that you continue to grow. I want you to remind yourself why you want to do whatever it is you want to do and give yourself credit for being the person who got you in this position to start with. We've all been there. I hope this was helpful, and let me know your thoughts on imposter syndrome.
Thank you for taking the time to listen in today. Many of you will be able to take the ideas that you've heard and apply them in your daily life, and that's really all you need. That's amazing. But for those of you who could use a little one-on-one help with how to make these things actually work for you in your real life, please reach out. The link to schedule a consult with me is in the show notes. You don't have to do this alone. See you soon.